live?
You're live.
Welcome to episode 8 of Open Discourse. This week we're going to be talking about social media. Are you ready for this, Nick?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
Want to shout out now?
Yeah, let's do it. So first off, we just want to thank Cody, my brother, for helping us out with everything. Thanks to him, we have these awesome microphones, the camera setup, soundboard, everything. He went above and beyond for us and made sure to hook us up. So
yeah, this would not be happening the way it's happening right now if it wasn't for Cody, and I don't think we could ever say thank you enough.
I know. Yeah, just thanks again, man. We really appreciate it. All right.
What are we talking about
Let's
today?
do this. I don't know, man. Do you want to start us off, or do you want me to start off?
Go ahead. You have the paper, so.
Okay. Let's just start off with social media use and its effect on relationships. I know that was something you wanted to touch on as well. One thing I was thinking about the other day, I was at Thanksgiving, and I was sitting there, and after I was done eating, I got my phone out, and I was looking at it, and I was on social media, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, everybody's here. Like, everybody I want to talk to is here, and I was like, that's so weird that you just kind of jump into it without even thinking about it now.
Do you feel like it is a habit more than anything else sometimes?
Oh, I feel like for sure it's a habit. It's kind of like a nervous thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes
there's awkward silence. You pull out your phone.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. I was like, the last time I think I was in an elevator or something. I was like, there was like 4 people in there, and all of us were on our phones. And I was like, that's so awkward. Like, there's 4 people like right next to each other in close proximity, and like nobody's having a conversation.
Right. Real quick, Corinne, if you need to tell me something, just go ahead and tell me.
You were away from the microphone for a while, so
okay. So pull closer to the mic. All right.
Yeah, and if at any point anybody notices any problems with our audio or anything with the live stream, feel free to comment. We would really appreciate it.
Do we have any viewers?
We have 4 viewers,
Nice.
and Jesse says hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jesse, what's up?
But yeah, Dylan, you were saying that it was Thanksgiving. You pulled out your phone, and it was like, who would you possibly wanting to talk to?
Right.
I find that after I typically go through like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then like that's my like routine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll check it again in 5 minutes and go through those same 3 apps.
Yeah.
And it's like, what could have possibly have changed?
It's funny because sometimes you like click on it and you have no notifications, and then you still look and you're like, well, maybe I missed something.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
So how do you think it affects relationships? Do you think it's negative, positive, overall?
It can be a positive thing for sure. I mean, if you have a long distance relationship with somebody, like family out of state or something, and you can use it as a form to like communicate between them and like catch up and see pictures of them and stuff like that, I mean, it's great. But if it's to where you're on it all the time and you're just constantly checking it, I don't think that's healthy.
Mm-hmm. So I think one potential negative, like my brother lives in Tennessee,
mm-hmm.
and I think we kind of get into this routine where like we accept the fact that it's hard to see, but like the social media kind of replaces it, and like we get lazy with the relationship.
Yeah.
It's like because we can text or have the social media, and I can like see photos every once in a while. It's like I just accepted that's it. I don't try any harder beyond that.
So what you're saying is it's kind of like instead of calling somebody and having like a conversation with them, you're just kind of like, oh, I'll just comment on his stuff, or
right.
like I'll just look and see what he's doing today. And you're not communicating with them, but you're kind of checking in on their life and seeing what they're doing.
Exactly. And I think it's not as good as checking in and calling even or visiting. I think, and like with Drew, like we'll kind of go back and forth on Facebook with our stuff, and it's like that's enough, but it's really not. I don't think.
Yeah,
we need to have more of
I think that it puts a strain on people's communication skills in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like it makes you not as good at approaching other people in public, especially strangers, and just having a conversation with them. I think that there are a lot of young people out there that are like nervous whenever they have to talk to like somebody in customer service or something like that because they don't have as much practice communicating face to face.
For sure. One thing you had mentioned wanting to talk about was how employers look at social media. So what about that? What do you think?
Okay, so your social media page or whatever accounts is a reflection of yourself. So you want to represent your best self on your page, but most of the time people really don't do that. They basically post whatever they want. And an employer at any point, if they're in the hiring process and they're like looking to hire you, and they see that you're partying all the time or you're doing things that are maybe illegal or something like that, like they're going to second guess hiring you. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you just gotta put your best self out there. You can't like put bad things on social media.
Have you experienced that at all firsthand? Someone's maybe mentioned, an employer's mentioned something they've seen.
I've
or
never
said
had-
they've checked.
I've never had an employer mention it to me, but I've been like the employer or the boss, and I've looked at people's social medias before we hired them, and I was like, well, maybe that would be somebody that maybe we can't trust, for whatever reason.
Right. I'm always pretty cautious on what I put out there. I've always tried to kind of keep it little to none.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Any live viewers that have any comments yet, Karen?
Any questions or comments?
Jesse said that Destiny could make you guys a sticker for your wall behind you. It's
Oh.
vinyl, so it'd come off.
That would be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty dope.
Well, I'll have to get with her about that.
We hope you enjoy the picture we got made.
Yeah, we didn't have time to get a green screen, but we have a picture. And we changed our camera angle because we know that everybody wanted us to change that up. So
And just a disclaimer, you guys, the phone line is open. You can call, it's my cell phone at 636-584-4296. Maybe Corinne can put that out there. I think the number might have been one number wrong in the test live.
Sorry.
It's okay. 636-584-4296. And if you just have a question or a comment and you'd rather call it in, just give us a buzz and we'll put you on.
do you have any idea how much you use social media throughout the week? Like, do you have like a estimate or like?
I would feel like I would honestly be ashamed of how much it
Yeah.
actually is.
Yeah.
I would say multiple hours.
So that new feature on the iPhone allows
Uh-huh.
you to track your screen time, and I enabled that, and I looked at over my past 7 days how many hours I'd used, and I am embarrassed to say how many hours, but it was 12 hours on social media in a week's time, and I was like, that doesn't even seem right. Like, how is that even possible?
No,
That
that's
I'm
like a half day
I know.
you've spent.
out of a week. Like, that just seems crazy. But I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're checking it every so often, you're looking at it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a time, that adds up. But you just think about like all the different things you could have been doing whenever you're spending that much time on there.
Mm. So what do you think? Do you think it's overall bad, or is there some goods to having this access, to be able to even spend 12
Well,
hours of your week?
I mean, for us, it's amazing. Like, think about what we've been able to do with our platform on social media. Like, if it wasn't for Facebook right now, we wouldn't be broadcasting live.
Sure.
So clearly, I don't hate social media, and I'm not completely against it. But I think if you're using it for the right things, it's definitely a positive. But it's all a balance thing. I mean, you don't want to be spending all day on there, but here and then is okay.
What do you think about people putting a facade out there that you're not even your actual self?
Like an over representation, like what's funny, that kind of leads me into another thought about like relationships on Facebook and
Mhm.
how all you see is the positives from
Right.
people. That's basically it. I mean, if you're in a relationship, you're not putting all your troubles on Facebook, so it seems like your relationship is one way when really it's not.
Or just your life in general. I mean, the
Yeah.
days that you have bad days, that's usually, there's the people out there who let you know about literally everything and anything that's happening in their day.
Yeah.
But most people just put out the good. And I think their studies have shown how it's like led to people's depression and
Mhm.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and I think that people look at people's lives on social media, like celebrities and other people like that, and they think that they should make their life be like that, or their life's boring because they're not doing exciting stuff all the time. When really you're not seeing all those mundane things. You're just seeing the highlights. This is the
Mhm.
highlight reel of your life. Is all that social media really is.
True.
I can comment on that. So,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm in a human sexuality class online right now, and we're talking about infertility. And one thing that was mentioned was how people who don't struggle with infertility are posting, their positive pregnancy tests and their babies and all the stuff like
Right.
that. But, people who are struggling with infertility on social media, it can be depressing for them to see that kind of stuff because they're not going to go and post their, hey, I can't have kids.
Right. Yeah. You don't see people's struggles. Yeah.
Right.
You just see their triumphs. Yeah. Exactly.
I think it also generates a self-esteem issue because it's almost like you're teaching yourself that your actual self isn't good enough for people, and you always have to put a filter on your life.
Yeah. It's also a thing like it sounds weird, but like I was just thinking about your appearance. I
Mhm.
mean, you only put like really, really good pictures of yourself online, which is fine.
And you
but
delete the bad ones when you
Right.
take them.
exactly. But whenever somebody sees you in real life, they're like, I didn't think you looked like that. And you're like,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
just what I look like on social media.
There's actually several people who I will be looking at their Instagram posts, and like I know them in real life. I'm like,
Mhm.
this doesn't even look like the same person.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So do you think there's a way to go forward and maybe just try to change the culture a little bit and have the benefits of the connectivity of social media and technology and just, I don't know, maybe just like self-evaluate of what we're doing and how we're presenting ourselves? Is that possible, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about policing yourself. I mean, limiting your screen time or acknowledging, like I said, whenever I was at Thanksgiving, I was looking at my phone and I was like, this is dumb. Why am I doing this? That's what you have to do. You have to realize in those social interactions, in those moments, you have to get off your phone. And I was thinking about, like, whenever people are out at dinner, especially like young people, you'll be out at dinner with a group of friends and everybody's on their phone. Nobody's talking. It's like,
yeah, I hate to say that I'm guilty of that. Corinne and I went out to dinner last night, and I noticed there was a time when we were both looking at our phones.
Yeah.
And I think to some degree, like in comfortable relationships, like if you don't necessarily need to be talking the whole time at dinner, and it's okay. Like, I mean, it's not like the whole time at dinner we're on our phones.
Right. And if you have to check something really quick, that's one thing. But if you're on a first date with somebody,
and don't pull the phone out.
If you're on your phone and not talking to the other person, that's pretty bad.
Our viewers seem to be having some technical difficulties,
Oh,
and
no.
they're not able to see the video.
Oh, seriously?
Just one person. So do we have any advice for that, or?
Panic?
What
Can they not see us at all?
Yeah, like can they hear
Is it
and not
black?
see?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Everyone else seems to be doing okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say have the other people that are live right now that are watching, have them comment down below and just put an okay or say it's good if they can see us, because that just might be somebody's issue they're having on their computer. All right, Nick, where do we go from here?
How much of it do you think is a generational thing? Because, like, I know the older generation would probably look at us, which honestly, some of the old people, like a lot of people's grandmas are on Facebook, and they're getting smartphones, and they're just as guilty of it now. But do you think, like, every generation kind of looks down upon the generation after them? How much of that do you think is that? I mean, like, is there gonna be something in the future that even more crazy than what we have today that we're going to look down on and be like, well, back in our day,
I definitely think
Instagram
there
and
is.
Facebook was where it was at. You think so?
I mean, think about it. Like, kids in the 90s, they probably like hanging on their phone all day long, you know what I mean? And their parents are like, you're on your phone for 3 hours a day talking to your friends, And they're like, well, you don't get it. And now we're on our phones all day long, communicating. It's just a different form of communication.
One thing that I do think is crazy is how pervasive the computers are, and it's like there's a computer in everything. We were playing Fortnite last night, and I looked down, and my phone, my iPad, and my Xbox were all sitting side by side. I was like, thinking about this episode, I was like, that's 3 computers that I have just sitting right next to each other.
Right.
And it's just kind of crazy. Cody actually sent us an email after the first episode for future topics and wanted to talk about technology. And I think his question, I didn't have it pulled up, but his question was something along the lines of, are we becoming too dependent on computers in and of themselves? Like, we can't do things without a computer.
Well, the answer to that is yes. 100% we are. I mean, think about the fact that you'll go into like a grocery store now and their computer will be down and you can't buy anything. It's like, can nobody just manually, count the change and like just do the transactions? But everything is on computer now. They can't keep track of everything. And
Union McDonald's even.
You were telling me that. Yeah. I haven't been in there since.
When you order, it's at a kiosk. It's not even a person.
That's crazy. Yeah. So you don't talk to anybody. You just go in there and you like type it in and put your card in or your cash in and you get your food.
Yeah, it really is kind of crazy. So do you think that we need to make conscious efforts to like unplug and get back to?
There's a lot of people that do that, and I think that's the right way to go. That's what we should be doing, but it's not going to happen. Technology is becoming more and more a part of our lives every day. And you were talking about like kind of the future of social media and where you think it was going to go and kind of what our kids were going to be doing that we're not doing right now. And one of the things that I was looking up, have you heard of the Neuralink thing? Have you heard of that? It's being
a little bit.
A little bit? Okay, so Elon Musk is developing this thing called Neuralink, and we don't really know the particulars yet, but basically what he was saying was it's like a mesh weave or something like that that's going to be like put in the human body. I really don't know for sure, but I believe it's going to be like put on the cortex of the brain, and it's going to basically be a way to output more information. So he was saying that our input's really good. Like we see with our eyes, we can take in a lot of information, but all the information we're putting out in social media is through our hands, through our fingers, onto a device, and then out onto the internet. Well, basically, this is going to be a direct link between us and other people. it's going to basically be like a social media part of your body, basically AI. So it's
That's
going to be like
insane.
part of your body. And I don't know if that's going to really happen or not, but it's something they're talking about, and it's really interesting. But would you ever like let somebody put something in your body that was like part technology? So basically, it's your smartphone in your head. You just don't need to hold your phone.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was reading the other day about how in China people have some kind of chip that like a lot
Oh
of
my
their
gosh.
like political and health information is stored on. So like
Really?
instead of an insurance card, you have some kind of, I don't know if it's a card you carry around or if it is some kind of chip in your
Implant?
body. But
Wow.
yeah, it monitors how you vote and your health information, and then they can look at all that and like market to you, or the government can track it. I don't know.
I was
I
going to
don't
say, I
think
don't
I
know
would.
how I feel about that. I feel like
I
that's
I would not. I would
like,
not
is it
partake.
tracking data real time?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if it's like
Like,
as
is
of now it's like location, but what I was reading, it could track
Okay,
your.
let's take a step back. We have a
Uh,
couple of comments.
okay, here we
Okay.
go.
You guys need to give me a little time to speak.
Okay, sorry.
Just interrupt. It's fine.
Yeah.
Callie says, "Have we learned nothing from Black Mirror?" And Jesse
Oh my
replied to
gosh.
that as, "Or iRobot." And then I'm not sure at what point. Some people are. Callie commented no in all caps, and then Olivia said, "No, that would mean that you aren't yourself.
Oh.
You are like a robot."
About the Neuralink and the AI.
Okay.
Okay, couple questions there. What do we want to address
I've never.
first?
Is Black Mirror a movie?
Okay, Black
Someone
Mirror. Black
referenced
Mirror. Okay.
iRobot afterwards.
Black Mirror is a show on Netflix, and if you haven't seen it, you should totally watch it because it's absolutely amazing. It's basically set in the near future, and it's basically like the Twilight Zone, but it's kind of like more realistic a little bit, and it's
Okay.
all set slightly in the future, and it's just like basically showing how you need to watch out for technology, and if we let it get out of control, these are the things that could happen. And it also kind of delves into like privacy. Like they have like a contact that basically records everything you see, and you can kind of play back everything that you've seen previously.
Mhm.
So there was like these two people who were in a relationship, and he like thought she cheated on him, and he goes, "Let me see your video." And she's like, "No, I don't want you to see it." And then he ends up watching it without her consent, and
Hacking it.
then it ruins the relationship, and crazy stuff happens. So
That's
yeah,
insane.
good show though, definitely.
Yeah, not familiar with that. More familiar with iRobot,
Yeah.
and yeah, that AI could maybe want to kill us one day. I don't know.
I mean, maybe I heard an interesting theory, and it was about how basically the thing that breaks down computer components is oxygen. So really, if AI became like self-aware and was able to hurt us, they might want to eliminate us and lower the oxygen levels, and then there would basically be no use for us. But basically, what Elon Musk was saying about the Neuralink is he wants that to be a link between us and AI. Like
He wants to see that joining of technology
Yeah.
and man.
mm-hmm.
Callie says that she feels like the government would definitely hack our brains,
Mm.
and Olivia agrees.
That's what I think.
Possibly.
I mean, we kind of talked about conspiracy theories and
Yeah.
in our politics episode, but I think it would be abused. And I think it currently is being abused. I would hate to misspeak, but I would love for someone to maybe look it up. But I'm pretty sure that there's some kind of technology like that in existence in China.
There's technology that exists in the United States because like I can't remember who was it, Snowden, that like uncovered all that information about how I don't know if it was the NSA or the CIA, how they had access to like everyone's phone, and basically they could pull up any camera or any
Right.
microphone anytime they wanted. And nobody really thinks about the fact that you're walking around with a microphone and a camera on you all the time. So
Mhm.
really, if somebody wanted to listen in, they could just pull up your phone. I think our government probably has the ability to do that
Right.
already.
I mean, just the fact that I can talk about, I don't know, like Chick-fil-A, and then I'll get on Facebook and there's a
Yes.
Chick-fil-A ad.
I've done that before.
Aaron, do you have a question?
Cody makes a good comment. He says, when posting on social media, many sites and apps can also now track your location through your phone's GPS. Just a fun fact to remember, especially if/when you're out of town and or on vacation.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's too much, I think.
Yeah.
I would almost like to see the culture and the world switch directions a little bit, and like we're using technology all over this
Yeah.
room right now.
Yeah.
Like make technological advances, sure, but let's get our identities and our like personality out of it a little bit,
hmm
because people always say like social media isn't like it's not social, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of in agreement with that.
Yeah. It's really not. I mean,
And I think it hurts relationships. Like I said,
Yeah.
I think I could be closer with my brother if I didn't have the luxury of seeing his stuff on social media or
Mhm.
shooting him a text every once in a while. I'd be forced to seek out more than that.
right.
I think
Yeah,
it makes
definitely.
relationships a little lazy.
Very true.
Jessie made a comment. She said, I've always heard lots of bad stuff about the 21andMe or whatever it's called. But Callie corrected her, said it's called 23andMe. Yeah. And they go and use your DNA however they want, basically, is what Callie said.
Really? So, do you know what the 23andMe is?
Man,
so
people are way above me. I don't know.
The 23andMe is like a kit that you get sent to you, and you do a cotton swab on the inside of your mouth, and then you send it back to this company, and then they give you all this data on your genetic makeup, like certain traits you have, or where you're from. Is the main part of it is it shows like what percentage of each ethnicity you are. Like,
but they then track you.
See, I didn't know that they did anything with your information.
Callie says that they're able to use your DNA in other places rather than just like you getting your feedback of like what you are.
I would think that would be for medical studies, wouldn't you think?
I don't know. There might be clones of you out there do 23 in years. I don't know.
That's true.
Insane.
Maybe watch out for that.
Georgia said the lady that invented 23andMe is married to the guy who invented Google.
Ooh.
Man.
That family is making bank.
Georgia, that's kind of a conspiracy theory there, I feel like. There's definitely something
Sounds like a conspiracy, Georgia. We don't know if we can confirm that. All right. What else you got, Nick? Do you have anything else? My notes are horrible. I probably should have organized this a little more.
I should have took notes. I just sent you a text. I'm trying to think of some of the other things I talked about. We can kind of jump around a little bit here. One of the things that I remember that I wanted to talk about was video games.
Oh yeah.
And how they affect people.
Yeah, you were talking about violent video games in particular.
That's one. We can go there now. So what do you think? Do violent video games have an effect on people's behaviors?
Well, the bias in me wants to say no because I played violent video games as a kid, and I think I don't.
How young were you when you were playing violent video games?
Violent video games? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, what was like the first? Really young. Well, violent. I mean,
I was 8 or 9.
007 for the N64. So what is that? Like the late 1990s? Like,
yeah,
that was a while ago. But I mean,
I was pretty young, shooting people and creatures and aliens and all kinds of things.
Do you think it messed you up? Are you a psychopath now?
I don't. And again, I mean, maybe it's bias, but I don't think it affects people like that in general.
I think that if that's the only like input in your life that puts you over the edge, that makes you like a psychopath and a killer, I don't know. Like, I don't believe that.
Right.
I mean,
Kristen and Olivia agree that they do.
That they do what?
Violent.
They do.
That they make you more violent?
Yes. They lead to violence.
I would disagree. One thing that I know I've heard about is a lot of the military's best pilots, like helicopter pilots and airplane pilots, played video games like all throughout their lives.
So you're saying you're kind of like proving their point there. I feel like a little bit because like, oh, I want to go to the military because I'm good at video games so I can kill people. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Not quite like that.
No, I know what you mean.
Jessie
like, there's skills involved. Yeah.
That she absolutely believes that violent video games play a part in children's mental health. Callie says neither of you are violent people at all.
Yeah.
And Olivia says it might not have messed you up, but it's definitely unhealthy.
Unhealthy. So, Olivia, I have a question for you. If this will work this way, would you say that violent video games should be banned in Missouri, or not Missouri?
Well,
in the United
see,
States?
here's the thing. I mean, they have age restrictions, so there are ratings on video games to.
Mm-hmm. True. I mean, the games I was playing were meant for 17 and up when I was 8.
Didn't you? Yeah, I was gonna say, are you about to tell the story about how one time you bought a video game when you were underage? You should remember that.
Should I tell that story?
Well, I mean, yeah, because technically you shouldn't be able to do that.
We've got a lot of comments rolling in. Would
Okay.
you like me to
All
read
right.
them?
Yeah, let's go.
We'll go ahead with that.
Jessie says she does not think that they do that for everyone, but she 100% believes that they can. And she says you guys didn't start that early. Kristen says, I don't think that this is the only thing that makes them violent, but I do think that it plays a part.
Okay,
I'm
so
loving this feedback.
So I think that what that is.
And Callie says it's just like in movies. Parents allow it or don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dylan. What was your thought?
I don't know. This is so tough because it's like, for me, I feel like it's 0 from. But okay, this is what I can say.
I'm the kind of person who will capture a grasshopper or a spider and try to relocate it.
Yeah.
And I played violent video games all my life.
Right. What I would say is that sometimes, especially for kids, video game. There's a train. That's a train, and we're not going to be able to get that out of the live stream.
Please enjoy the train rolling
Okay.
by.
I just totally lost what I
The
was going to say.
sensitivity of these mics, man. It's
I know.
crazy.
We're picking up a train in the background. I heard it in my ears. I was like, "What is that?" At first, I'm like, "Okay." Okay, so what I was gonna say, I think that if you're playing a video game, a lot of kids get really frustrated if you lose, and that frustration comes out as anger, and you see that, and it's just them not handling that emotion the right way. But do I think that that has long-lasting effects and affects your psyche and makes you have a tendency to be more violent or something like that? I would say probably not.
Johnny says that he's been playing video games since he was 4, and it hasn't made him any more violent. If parents follow the rating system, then it shouldn't be an issue.
There also that rating system is kind of junk because there are certain games that have the same rating that are on way different ends of the spectrum on how violent they are, and that's really just parents doing their research and figuring out, looking at a particular game, your particular kid, and figuring it out from there. It's basically up to you.
I think I distinctly remember a time whenever I bought a video game with my mom, and it was an M-rated game, and the cashier, this must have been like pretty early 2000s where the cashiers actually cared about the ratings of the games.
Yeah.
But she was like, I think she asked my mom, are you sure you want to buy this?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy.
How did your mom react to that?
She was like, I think she made a comment about how she disapproved of my video gaming in general, but that's what I did. So I don't know. I don't even remember what game it was.
Yeah.
But just kind of interesting.
Me as a parent, my thought would be like, I can do what this is my kid.
Right,
like,
that's
you know
kind
what
of
I
a
mean?
weird
It's kind
thing
of
to say.
my opinion.
I mean,
You know,
me
it's
as a
my
parent, I'm going to be
personal-
playing those violent video games with my non-violent children, so I
Right.
don't really know.
And we're the first generation that's going to, our generation is having kids now, and we grew up playing video games. I mean, the people older than us, like our parents didn't grow up playing, Pong and stuff like that, but then we don't really consider that video game.
Gren's giving us a look because
My dad definitely grew up playing video games.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dylan. I remember the other day, though, we were talking, and I wouldn't tell people that I played video games, so I definitely think there was kind of a generational thing about playing video games.
There was like a stigma is what you were saying.
I mean, because
Even when you were saying
Before
when
we
you were in
get
high
too
school.
far, we've got a couple more comments.
Okay.
Jesse says, when you allow a 5-year-old to watch movies about killing and violence,
Yep.
they group up with that in the back of their minds, and it becomes engraved in their minds.
Yeah.
So she's making an argument that movies are just like video games.
Then she follows that up with, normal 6-year-olds don't go get knives out of the drawer on their own. They learn that from seeing it in a movie or a game. Olivia says, nobody follows those age restrictions. To answer your question, Nick, everyone should have a choice on what – I'm sorry, this is really small – on what they want to do. I don't believe that if you play a violent video game and then you will be a serial killer, but it's not healthy for your mind.
I don't know. I mean,
I think it is healthy.
yeah, I mean, I don't
Dylan,
know.
how much fun do we have playing video games?
It's so tough for me and you because we're so into it.
Right.
You know what I mean? When we're looking at all these positives.
And
from
I
it,
You
do
not
guys
the
wish
negatives.
that Fortnite was real, ever?
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I think I should
Do you wish that you could go and play a game real life, like Fortnite?
With no physical consequences? You mean like where basically no one gets hurt and it's, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean, but I guess I've heard Nick say before, I wish Fortnite was real.
Like true violence, like literally landing on an island like that? No, but I
don't like that.
Like
but
a laser tag or paintball scenario? Yeah, like
Totally.
that. That's awesome.
And Chloe and I played a version of that with some Nerf guns. It was very fun. We had to scavenge for weapons and ammo. It was a great time.
And at the same time, this just made me think of kids a generation ago, they grew up with toy guns, BB guns, stuff like that. I mean, it was very popular for little boys to have little pretend guns and go around acting like they were shooting people. And I don't think a lot of those people grew up violent.
Oh, we have a call. Your phone's not ringing, Nick.
Oh, turn the volume on.
Do we know who it is?
Hello, it's Olivia.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey.
You are live, Olivia.
What's up?
Hold on, there's a lot of feedback.
Uh-oh. That might just be a connection with the phone. You might just have to push it in a little
Like
further.
the video's still playing in the background. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, you might have audio bouncing out.
Oh. Let's see if I can fix that.
No, I think she's... Are you saying, Olivia, on your end?
On your end?
Yeah, it was on my end.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we should be okay now.
Do you have a question or a comment?
Just the whole comment on if you guys honestly think that it's healthy to be shooting people?
See, Dylan, whenever you're doing it, do you even think about it in that way?
I see what you're saying.
I don't feel like I'm killing people.
It's like you're winning. You're winning.
But that's
Yeah,
what
you're-
you do, and then you get more points if you shoot them in the head.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's true.
I guess one thing I wanted to say, and Olivia, sorry if you're hearing this through the phone, but like you were mentioning the toys. When I grew up, that like whether it was video games or in real life, that was how I played.
Mm-hmm.
I played Army. I had the fake guns. My friends and I would paintball. We shot each other then.
Yeah.
And people don't really see an issue with airsoft or paintball. Some do.
I think that for me, I distinguish it as it not being reality and it being
I think it's
something
very
that's
clear.
fake. Yeah.
That it's fake.
But I see how
you don't think it has an impact on your mind when you're shooting people and you're like that's your main focus?
Killing people for fun.
Not in a negative way, no. Because I never like in real life will get angry at someone and be like, man, I wish I could pickaxe you like I do in Fortnite.
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe that is where the issue lies, is that there's some children and some people who cannot separate fantasy from reality.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's just like someone who watches like Harry Potter. Like, would you ask them like, do you wish Harry Potter would real? Half of them would say yes. Like, we wish we could.
I just think that it has an impact on you no matter what.
So
And
as my
like
sibling, do you
negative
think you have
outweighs the
seen?
positive.
Do you think you have seen negative impacts from me playing
I'm
video
sorry?
games? As my sibling growing up with me, do you feel like you have negative impacts from me playing violent video games?
I'm not saying it happens with everyone, but I think that it like you can't pinpoint it to where it's on everyone. It happens to everyone, but I say that it can happen.
Okay. Would you say it's the vast majority are okay with it, like Dylan and I, and are able to differentiate between fantasy and reality, and that it's a small percentage who have negative impacts? Or do you think it's like half and half, or what would you say? How big of an effect?
I feel like a lot of people can't distinguish what's real and what's not real.
Okay.
They get stuck in that fantasy world because it's perfect to them. They can distract from their real problems
Mm-hmm.
and take it out on stuff that's not really going on. And I just think it just has a bad impact.
We've got lots of comments rolling in. Would you guys like to hear those now?
Yeah, Olivia, some people are commenting on our conversation, so we're going to have Corinne relays to us.
Jesse says, you guys are also adults, though. Think about it as a child who's going through mental battles about what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
Callie replies to that as, they used to be kids, too, and then they played it.
Callie said what? Oh, replied
to Jesse as you guys played it as kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cody says, aim small, miss small, Olivia. Headshots all day. And Kristen says that she does believe that it affects people because her kids have nightmares. Let me see.
Dylan, have you had a video game dream?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I
would just say
still do
yes. I don't
sometimes.
remember one particularly, but I would just say yeah.
After a long night of playing video games, I'll go to bed and have a dream.
So, Olivia, this is what I was going to say. I think that there are people out there who spend 12 hours a day locked in their basement with the lights off, playing video games constantly, shooting people, doing violent things. And I think that could affect their psyche, and it could make them make a choice that they wouldn't have made if they wouldn't have been playing those games. So in that aspect, I think, yeah, it does have a negative effect. I just think it affects everybody differently.
And I agree. I agree with that. I just also think that the negative outweighs the positive.
Hmm.
And I don't think kids should be playing violent video games. They can play video games because, yeah, it stimulates their mind and makes them. Why were kids so crying earlier? Mom, hold on. I lost my train of thought because of that.
You were saying that kids can play video games, maybe non-violent ones though.
Which we agree with, I think. I agree with that.
Yeah, but I would also agree that I would say
grew
that
up
you
with
could.
you, Nick, and I played violent video games with you also.
Yeah.
And I still don't think that, we played 007. I watched you and Dad play Call of Duty, Gears of War. So I know what it's like, but I also know that it can impact the brain, especially when I wouldn't want Will or one of Hazel or Ellie, watching you guys do that, because I don't want that to be in their mind so early. Like, they're still so innocent.
Along those lines, Johnny says, what about the opposite? What if the kid is getting bullied at school and has no friends to play with at home, but they go home to a video game and that's their only way and form of relaxing? So he's saying it's like a social outlet for a lot of kids.
Dylan, you and our dad we were all talking about that with your dad.
Oh my goodness.
Don't hit the mic, please.
Yeah, my bad.
But it is. It's a release and an escape from a lot of things. I think it can be a healthy escape.
Yeah.
I would much
I don't
rather
think
a
it's
kid.
healthy for a child to be resorting to fantasy video games when instead of trying to go out there and trying to make real friendships and trying to engage in real people.
Yeah, I think it's a balance. I think you should limit the amount of screen time that kids intake. I think if that's all they're doing, then I don't think that's healthy. I think they should get out there and they should play outside with other people and have interactions with other people.
Joe says, I think that it partially falls on the parenting, raising the child and teaching them right from wrong. I grew up watching horror movies like Freddy, Jason, Chucky, and Mike Myers starting at the age of 5.
Wow.
I love those movies and still do, and playing games like the original Doom and 007, GoldenEye, and I was always told what was right and wrong. Mm-hmm. But I also knew that stuff was fake.
Yeah. And again, I'm right. Oh, we lost Olivia. We either lost Olivia or Olivia hung up, but thanks, Olivia, for your call. It led to a lot of really, really good questions. And the one thing I was going to say is that it is a positive for a lot of people that have social anxiety. You know, if you have trouble talking to other people, and you find a community like a game and a group of friends online that you play with, I mean, that's awesome. And that's great. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
When I was growing up, I had friends from all over the country. Yeah. I really did.
Yeah, whenever I lived in Cape Girardeau, I didn't even know who they were. It was just like a group that I played one particular game with. We'd get on and say hello, talk about your day. And like with you, we don't hang out all the time in person, but we game together. Right. And you got a headset on and you're just having a conversation. It's not necessarily about playing the game. It's just kind of like you're hanging out with your friends and you're kind of having fun playing this game together. So it is a social interaction.
And it allows you to do so when it's not as easy. Like maybe I don't have time to come over to your house, but I can, spend an hour.
Yeah, you just jump online. It's so convenient because you can, over distance like that.
Totally.
So we did lose Olivia. She said she couldn't hear anything. But Olivia, if you'd like to call back, you can. Callie says, as a fairly introverted person, doing stuff like playing video games all by myself gives me the energy to go and deal with actual humans.
Hey, there you go.
I find it interesting that I feel like it's like almost both sides are biased. Like the ones who have played Yumi, Johnny, Callie are like, yeah, it's okay. And then the ones who maybe watch other people play or don't do it so much themselves seem to be the ones who have apprehensions or bad feelings about it.
Yeah, it's difficult to understand if you're not like really, really in that community like we are.
And I definitely think when you like talk about it, I'm gonna say out of context. I don't know if that's the right way, but like Olivia was saying, you get bonus points for headshots. Like when you hear about it and you don't like really know what's going on, it sounds pretty awful. But
Kristen says she thinks it's okay for teens and adults, but not for younger children such as her 5, 8, or 11-year-old.
And I think that's a parenting choice. If, like Olivia was saying, she wouldn't want Will or Ellie seeing some of the stuff. And there's some, Gears of War, you literally chainsaw like aliens in half. And I wouldn't show that to a 5 or an 8-year-old. But my 11-year-old self was able to reconcile that. And I was fine
just as like a comparison, what I would say, and this is just my personal opinion. So Halo is an M-rated game, which means you should be 17 years old to play it. But honestly, if it were up to me, I'd probably let my, I don't know, like I want to say like 11, 12, 13-year-old play it 100% for sure. But whenever it comes to a game like Grand Theft Auto, which has the exact same rating, I would say definitely not 100% because those are on two different ends of the spectrum of violence. Like one is very, very, very violent and the other one is kind of more like a cartoon violence.
And the kind of violence. In Halo, you're a good guy fighting the bad aliens. In Grand Theft Auto, you are sometimes the bad guy doing whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Johnny is going back to the social outlet, and he says when he was in high school, he'd join up with like 10 of his friends on Xbox and not even play a game. He'd just sit there and talk to them while he did his homework.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people do. You just put your headset on, you see who's online, and you have conversations. It's
extremely social.
Yeah, it is.
So you guys talked about earlier, like social media and how it affects relationships. What about video games and how they affect relationships? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, Nick, what do you think about that?
I think they can have negative effects. I think they, just like I was saying with my brother, it can get lazy because we can game together and we might not seek more beyond that. And it can be a problem when people become addicted to the screen time, just like any other, whether it's Netflix or social media, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. I mean,
if you're spending more time with machines than you are people, then I think in any instance that's an issue.
I can just speak for myself personally. I've been in relationships before, and I've spent like too much time playing games or doing whatever and not spending time with my significant other. And it does put a strain on your relationship. Anytime it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's video games or it's playing poker. I don't know, playing a sport with your friends all the time. If you're doing that all the time and you're not spending time with your significant other, then I mean, of course, it's going to put a strain on your relationship. So I'd say, yeah.
So, Nick, you bring up the addictive aspects of video games. What do you guys feel about that?
They're 100% addictive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
But I would say that Netflix is addictive, food's addictive, sports are addictive. I think addiction is often seen as like a drug or alcohol problem, or sometimes people would even go as far as food or games or something. Mm-hmm. But anything in life can be addictive. And it's kind of what you were saying. Anything that you put above your relationships with people, or getting your work done, or taking care of yourself, and at that point, that's addiction.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than spending an hour on Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or whatever, being on that all day long, spending all your time doing that. That's just as bad as playing video games.
And then neglecting
your relationship or real life responsibilities for that. As far as it being a stress reliever, I would say 100%, because there's a lot of people that go home at the end of the day and they just want to game for an hour or whatever, so.
Jesse would like to add that dogs are addictive.
Dogs are addictive.
Dogs are awesome. Team dog.
I might be a little bit more team cat after we got our puppy, but yeah.
Your team cat?
I don't know.
A cat? You have a cat and a dog? Are you saying you like your cat more than your dog?
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm saying after this experience, I think I hate animals. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
But it's been pretty rough. Any other comments?
Not quite yet.
Okay. Anything else, Dylan?
I know there was something you wanted to touch on, and I can't remember what it was. You gotta have notes, brother.
I know. I need to.
You gotta bring those notes.
I had a long day.
I feel like I've hit most of the stuff that I have.
Do we want to open it up to just random questions, or do you guys want to stick on the social? Category?
Any question anybody wants to ask us, either over the phone or comments down below, anything they wanna say, we'll definitely address it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm done. Would you say we're ready for any kind of open thing
yeah.
related to the topic or not?
Definitely.
This is open discourse.
It is.
It is open discourse.
Jesse wants to know if we want a bandana.
What?
Me and you?
Yeah, for Nora.
Yeah, that'd be great for my terrible dog. Thank you, Jesse. What are we at time-wise? Just curious.
We're at 42 minutes.
Hey.
Awesome.
That's longer than I thought.
Longer than you thought?
I mean, I didn't think we had been sitting here for 42 minutes.
No, I think it's been great.
If she would have told me 25 minutes, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. I'm like,
awesome.
Time flies.
I think it's going well. I hope everyone's enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I think now would be the time for our viewers to talk about anything they want to talk about, questions, comments.
Yeah.
If you guys want to call in or drop a comment.
Yeah, feel free. And just so you know, if you want to give us suggestions for future topics, you can reach us at, oh my gosh, Nick, don't look at me like I'm not going to get, is it open dot?
Is it?
I don't know anymore. Open dot discourse od@gmail.com.
You got it. Perfect.
Nailed it. I'm going to get that like permanently tattooed on my hand.
Nice.
I always forget that. But yeah, just send it. Feel free to send us an email. Let us know what you think. And also, we're looking for future guests as well.
Yes, we are in major need of guests. I think we're out after
we have
next week planned, and we're usually 2 or 3 guests ahead. So
and now we're not. So
if you're listening and you want to talk, please you can send us a message in private or hit up. Blah, blah, blah.
What?
Hit one of us up if you know us. Just let us know that you want to be on.
Yeah.
Olivia would like to know your guys' personal opinion about if you would allow your children to play video games at a young age.
Yes.
Yes, 100%. I mean,
even
just video
games.
No. Depends on your definition. I mean, okay, so
I'm going to lean more towards yes.
What? So like it depends on what age and what my kids like and what game it is. I mean, I'm going to do a lot of research. I'm not just going to let them play whatever they want.
I really like, I don't know who said it. I'm going to say Jesse. Jesse, if it wasn't you, I apologize. And I also apologize to whoever is not getting credit for this comment. But someone mentioned about how it's just the same as watching movies. Mm-hmm. And I think there's so many times where I've walked into rooms and there will be a 8, 9, 7-year-old in the room and this adult is wanting to watch this movie and it would be like an M-rated game or an R-rated movie. Yeah. And it's like they don't even, some people are maybe more strict with it. Mm-hmm. But they don't even like realize what's on there. Or even on some of the stuff that's PG-13, it's like should your 8-year-old
Yeah.
really be watching that? I mean, it's all a matter of, how you parent, how you want to parent.
Yeah.
And I think
Here's the question that this kind of made me think of. So at what age do you think kids should be able to have social media accounts? Like Facebook. Like how old do you think you should be to have a Facebook? Because there's no age restriction. I mean, anybody can have a Facebook.
There is an age restriction.
There's
I
no-
actually
I
just
think it's
found
13.
out that you have
It's
to
what?
be
13.
13 to have a Twitter account, because I
Really?
made mine when I guess I was 12, and I went to change my birthday, and it immediately locked out my account, and Twitter was a huge jerk about it. And it was
Wow.
like, we require you to be 13 when you make an account.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so my personal Twitter's been locked out, and I've tried to get it. They're like, we can fix this for you. I'm like, great, do it. And they haven't.
So do you think 13 is a good age to have a social media account? Or do you think it should be before, after?
It depends on the social media. I think
Yeah.
Snapchat I would almost go like 15, 16 with my kids, because
Yeah.
it's just kind of crazy what people do on Snapchat.
Joe thinks 16 is an appropriate age.
Yeah, I would maybe let my kid have Facebook at 13, 14.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
I
probably
think
wouldn't want it. They'd be like, I don't even care.
yeah, honestly, the elderly, not the elderly, but the older generation has taken over Facebook, I think.
Will you turn that down one? Just to kick it?
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know.
I was saying old people took over Facebook.
How old people have taken over Facebook.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, well, how old were you whenever you first got your whenever you
think
got
I was-
Facebook? How old were you?
I think I was 13 or 14.
I feel like I was around the same age.
And
like
I remember
13.
asking my mom, I was like,
Yeah.
Mom, all my friends have a Facebook account. Can I have a Facebook account?
I mean, it was so different back then. I
Right.
feel like it's a completely different thing.
When I first made my Facebook, I only put my first and middle name because I was still like scared of the
Yeah.
whole like people finding you.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
Gally says that our little sister Chloe, she's 11, for those of you who don't know, has an Instagram, but she checks her phone often.
Yeah.
You mean your
She monitors
parents?
it. Well, Callie does.
Oh, okay.
But
So
Callie's probably more tech savvy than my parents.
I think that's
Right.
kind of young. 11 for
Yeah.
Instagram?
I mean, I guess. I mean, it depends on what you're using it for, or how much access they have to. I mean, if it's like on their personal device and they have access to it and they can do whatever they want with it, I think that's a little dangerous because, I mean, I don't know what all content is on Instagram or like what
Yeah.
all you can find. I don't think it's like,
I don't know. Either it's just kind of hard to regulate because maybe you can see what she's been posting, but you don't really know what
she's
she's
been
seen
looking at. Yeah.
accidentally or on purpose. Like you don't know.
That kind of, well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, keep going. I'll
That kind of brings me back to the other thought on video games and like content in general. Like you can absorb negative things from any type of content, like you were saying, whether it be movies or video games, but it's also just anything you see on the internet. And it's like every kid has a tablet, and and they know how to get on the internet. You know what I
Right.
mean? So they can basically find whatever they want.
Cody brings up a good point. He says, let's not forget about the casual encounter of strangers while playing online games. My son has been invited into a party while playing Fortnite, and it was a very inappropriate group of older adults. Just another thing to think about.
Very true.
Yeah.
And Janet says, live is way better.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we've got lots of comments.
Okay.
Cody's real quick.
Okay,
I've
yeah.
experienced that as a kid. I hopped into a party and I was hearing words and things that I had never heard before.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's just parenting moderation. My brother told my nephew Nathan that he's not allowed a microphone if he's going to talk to strangers because that was the rule. Is that he could use the microphone for sound, but if he was going to talk to strangers, he was going to lose it. And they found him. I think he's like 6 or 7.
Yeah,
now.
I always told my nephews, I was like, don't go into random parties.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? If you're going to play with your friends, that's one thing. But if you get an invite from somebody you don't know, like, don't accept it.
And
or
I
don't
think
play with
we've-
people you don't know.
I think I've heard
know?
you kind of mention that to Kristen with
Yeah.
the boys. You're like, it's
Yeah.
just going to be us that are playing.
Yeah,
And I think
told
that's
her
totally
that multiple times. I'm
reasonable
like,
and okay.
you know, and if I'm going to play with them online,
Mhm.
I'm not going to let somebody be in our group that's going to use inappropriate language or, you know, be inappropriate.
Right. Any other comments?
Joe says 13 would be an okay age, but it would need to be monitored by the parents, or maybe Facebook should be able to send the parents notifications saying, hey, your child is friends with this person, or hey, this person sent your child a message.
That's a great idea. I mean, just to have you be like kind of like an admin on their account in a way,
Yeah.
and you just monitor it.
It's funny because I think like safety concerns are coming to mind, but
Mhm.
it's almost like, well, what do we want to teach our children? Like at 13, do you want to tell them like social, like kind of what we were talking about in the beginning of this episode of how relationships are affected by it? Like, do you want to introduce your children to that early on, that kind of negative impact of social media on relationships?
Mm.
I don't know.
You're saying like they won't be able to make the conscious decision on when it's too much for them? Like they won't be able to monitor themselves on it, so why give them the option to do it in the first place?
I guess like some of the problems like you'll see in high school aged kids or college aged kids with like putting on the facade and only seeing positives and then getting depressed about it. You're introducing 13-year-olds who have even less of self-regulation, and it's like you're kind of you're teaching them, or maybe not directly but indirectly, they're getting taught these negative aspects.
I think this is a great time to bring up this comment, so I'm going to go ahead and read this one. Callie says that if we shelter kids from every little thing, then they will beat up as adults. There is a balance.
That's definitely true. And that kind of, both of those comments kind of makes me think about like bullying online and teaching your kids like what to do whenever somebody attacks you on social media. Because, you know, back in the day, you didn't have the technology to put out something mean about somebody in your school and have literally everyone be able to see it, you know, and that's going to affect kids, but you got to teach them the right way to handle that and say, you know, look, this is why this person did this to you, because they have issues of their own, and that's why they're projecting this negativity onto you. So I think it's all an education thing.
For sure.
So Georgia said something a while back, if you guys want me to, about topics.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I kind of skipped over on accident. She said, things y'all do to help maintain your mental health: meditation, books, work-life balance.
We've talked about doing a mental health podcast, and I kind of have an idea of somebody, so we can do that in the future.
Georgia, I finally did it.
I know. I've done it a few times. It happens. So yeah, we've talked about physical health and stuff like that, but something in the future we definitely wanted to address was mental health, because that's definitely an issue that's a concern.
One thing I meant to mention in the forefront was that studies have also shown that when you get a like on your Instagram photo or on your Facebook status, it releases dopamine in your brain,
I've heard
which is the same thing that's like happening when people like take drugs.
Yeah, so it's like you have like a drug addiction whenever you're checking Facebook all the time.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Joe says there's no face-to-face social interaction with social media. A child needs to be able to interact outside of social media.
Definitely. I mean, we kind of talked about that earlier. If you're on social media all the time, it's going to affect your social skills, your speaking ability. Yeah, definitely.
I know that I had personally struggled with that. When I got my first job is when I finally was able to talk to other people easier. But before, like going into that, I didn't. I mean, because I play a lot of video games, and I do think it negatively affected me in that way, to where I felt awkward talking to someone face to face.
I'll tell you one thing, just knowing that class that you took for lifeguarding, like, dude, that made I think that you kind of Tiny Pickles inside joke right there. I think you kind of did I guess like a 180. You kind of like completely turned around your social skills. I'm not saying you were like unsocial before, but I think you kind of like came out of a shell.
Yeah, broke the shell for sure.
Yeah. We got any more?
We've got a couple more listeners, so I think we should keep going.
Oh, man.
Okay, all right.
We got to have more content.
Does anyone else have anything they would like to talk about?
I would love a phone call.
Phone calls?
Those are great.
Phone in.
If you've got anything to say that you think is phone worthy. Corinne, did you turn the volume on the phone? I think that was the issue.
I did.
That was the issue the first time.
I don't know.
Kind of wait and see.
Yeah. We can't. I mean, we're probably close to an hour, I would think.
We're at 53 minutes. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. But
overall, I don't know. I think it's gone great. This live stream.
I think we hit a lot of the topics that I wanted to cover.
Would you guys like to see more live streams in the future?
Me or the audience?
Both.
I think they'll say yes. One thing I was thinking about was maybe pre-recording the podcast in the future and not necessarily doing them live, but then we would post the video to YouTube. I think that might be, or maybe we
could
give
people something to watch.
Yeah,
if it's not live,
to give them some video. So we're gonna set up everything a little bit differently, and we're gonna have our two mics and then the guest mic, and we're gonna kind of have everything in one shot. Is kind of how I want to do it.
Right.
And we'll post the video to YouTube after the podcast.
I think one or two, maybe not. I don't know, maybe not two, because we do them weekly. But one live stream a month might not be a good thing to hit.
We could mix it in here or there.
I hope you guys have enjoyed being our guests. I mean, that's essentially what you guys are this episode.
Right.
I think it's been great conversation, and it's crazy how technology works. We're sitting here with headphones on, and I feel like we talks to like a room full of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. This whole thing is kind of like a little bit surreal. Like I didn't think we would have this set up at this point, so it's pretty crazy.
Like I mentioned in the test, I thought we were gonna have like an iPhone propped.
Yeah.
And we would still be recording around my iPad. For those of you who didn't know,
That's how we did it
started off.
originally,
Yeah.
So
Lots of feedback for the live stream, something our viewers would like to.
the live stream.
They like it.
See, here's the problem with the live stream. Whenever we mess up, we can't fix it. That's the problem with the live stream. But I like doing the live stream.
Yeah, no, I've been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm all for it. And just kind of while we have a little bit of downtime and we're waiting on comments, the overall point of our podcast is to promote open conversation with your friends and family, and that's why we're doing this. So we hope that everybody watches this and they go and they have conversations with the people that they know. And I don't know, that's just what we're here to promote. It's kind of our thing.
Yeah, long form discussion
Yes.
about literally anything. I mean, don't shy. Like I won't shy away from any topic, whether it seems silly or controversial, like whatever the reason would be that someone would not want to talk about it.
I think the whole don't talk about religion and politics and all those touchy subjects, like that's kind of BS in my opinion. I mean, it's like, so those are the things that people want to talk about, and as long as you can have and not
Civil.
like not get into an argument,
Yeah.
as long as you can be polite with each other and respect each other's opinions, like that's a healthy thing. That's a good thing to do.
And I think that's. I mean, it kind of comes back to our original topic. Do you think social media and like all this technology is what's driven us away from being down to earth with people and talking about these sensitive things because we want to preserve whatever image it is we have out there on Facebook?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people are so afraid to have like really in-depth conversations with other people, and I think that they don't want people to think, oh, this person's so like out there, you know. And it's like people are kind of like afraid of having really deep personal conversations, but you shouldn't be.
And I think people secretly long for it.
Oh yeah. They want that. That's why podcasts are so popular. It's just sitting down and listening to people have a conversation for 2 hours at a time, 3 hours at a time for really long podcasts. But
You guys want to go ahead and wrap it up?
Yeah.
If there's no more comments or anything, we can go ahead and wrap. Nick, do you want to end with anything? Do you want to give the socials one more time or anything? Or do you have anything you want to close with? Any thoughts?
I guess after discussing, the possible negative implications of social media, we're on Twitter. You're watching us on Facebook.
Right.
We're on Instagram. We want to go where you guys want to go with this, I think, Dylan. Would you say?
Yeah.
So definitely I would love to see you guys get involved and give us feedback. We don't, if you wanted to remain anonymous, we're not going to necessarily say who sent emails unless you want us to. But because Dylan, I've been looking at our YouTube channel and someone has disliked 3 videos.
Oh, wow.
Which, that's fine. I don't know if it's a disagreement or if they're thinking that we put out crappy quality. I don't know.
Maybe they just hate one of us and they're just.
Or maybe you have a stalker. I don't know. But I would, if you're watching, whoever you are out there on YouTube, disliking our stuff,
give us some negative feedback. We'd love to hear it.
give us the feedback. Whether it's
tell us why you
totally disagree with us, like that'd be great because I'm going to invite you to come on if you're anywhere close, or if you think that the camera angle was too far away, like let us know and we'll fix it.
Yeah.
But again, email address was open.discourseod@gmail.com.
All right. Well, thank you.
Great.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. Everybody have a good night.
Look
Thanks,
out,
guys.
Look out next Sunday.
Yep.
We'll drop another episode.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.